Up, Bulls Nation. You found yourselves locked on Bulls. I'm Matt. That's Big Dave. Monday night, breaking down Bulls win over the Spurs, their fourth straight win. DeMar DeRozan, legitimate MVP candidate. He puts up 40 tonight. It's his seventh straight game with at least 30 points. We're breaking down DeMar and everything else about this Bulls win next on a fresh Locked On Bulls. Let's go.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Here are your hosts, Matt Peck and Big Dave Watson.
What's up, and welcome into Locked On Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Matt Peck. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Peck. You can follow my co-host, Big Dave Watson, at BAWL Sports. Read the hoodie, people, and follow us at Locked On Bulls. You can also hit us up on that text to voicemail line. 331-979-1369 is that number. DeMar DeRozan. I think if I ever am so lucky as to have a family, Big Dave, I am going to name my first child DeMar. I don't care if it's a boy or a girl or like an alien baby, like in Men in Black. I don't care. Its name will be DeMar, and that will be in the prenup that I sign with my future wife. This man, Big Dave. Can we talk about this man?
Please do, Matt. Please, can we discuss this person named DeMar DeRozan? Incredible. Let me tell you something. When the third quarter was going on, as I usually do, talking to my friend Dre, shout out According to Sources podcast, and I'm talking to him, and he's telling me, he's like, oh, man, it's one of the games where the Bulls just feel like they can't catch the Spurs. And I said in the third, just keep it close, get to the fourth quarter, and let DeMar DeRozan do what he do. I left and I had to do some stuff. I come back, Bulls are up 100 to 97. And I'm like, what the hell happened? And then I saw DeMar DeRozan happen. The dude was 7 for 7 at one point in the fourth quarter. The one that he missed should have been a foul when he went up because he shot it on the double team. That's the only reason he shot it. He thought he was going to get a foul call. He didn't get it. My God, this dude is insane. You can see, Matt, when a guy is just, forget the greatness. You can see when he just really wants it. Mm-hmm. And he really wanted this win against his former team. Now, remember, he didn't get it in San Antonio. He wasn't so fortunate to get it then. He wanted to beat his former team. He wanted to show everybody, like, yo, man, guys, thank y'all for the love. I appreciate that. But I'm trying to bury you in the sand today. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't, man. It was unbelievable. It's to the point now where you're not even shocked. You just laugh. At least I do. I just laugh at it. And I'm just like, I tweeted out his name and I just said, you know what? I'm out of words. I don't even have words to describe what I'm looking at here, guys. It's unfathomable what we are seeing, Matthew. It's unfathomable. It really is.
Well, if you're out of words, how about just three simple letters, M, V, and P?
Talk that.
We'll talk a little bit more about the NBA MVP race landscape later on, but as far as tonight's game specifically, I thought in the first quarter that maybe this was finally going to be the game where DeMar, backslides and just has an off night because he started 1 of 6 shooting in that first quarter, just like shots that, rimmed out, didn't look quite right. And you're like, maybe this is that game where DeMar finally, this amazing run of games comes to an end. And then the second quarter came, and DeMar's like, oh, here's 13 in the second quarter. Yeah, no, I'm still on pace for flirting with between 30 and 40 points at halftime. Right. And then you mentioned the fourth quarter. He scored 13 points in the first 3 minutes and 52 seconds of the fourth quarter. He was just like, oh, is it the fourth quarter? Is it the me quarter? All right, cool. I'm going to go do my thing, which is dominate fourth quarters. And then the crazy thing is he gets like a 2.5, 3 minute break, right? Mm-hmm. Midway through the fourth. Mm-hmm. The Bulls are struggling to find good looks and clean shots while he's out. He comes back in, first possession down, DeMar, ISO, dribble, bucket right in their face. And the cherry on top, Big Dave, is that it didn't matter when the Spurs tried to double team DeMar because they, for whatever reason, they didn't double team him as often as I think they should have tonight. And he made him pay for that. But when they did double him, he either just beat the double team with pump fakes and his crafty footwork, or in that dagger 3 possession that Coby White hit, that dagger 3 that put this game away, DeMar DeRozan draws the double team and makes a smooth pass, which was, by the way, one of his 7 assists tonight.
Talk about it, Matthew. That's what I find very key about this.
Man!
it's not just the 40. You know what I'm saying? It's the assist. And the way he gave Coby that assist, it was a no-look. If you watch it, he jumped in the air and he no-looked him right on the money.
Like Matty Stafford, baby.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was a mean pass, wasn't it? But my gosh, man, it was special to watch this dude perform. And this was coming off a technical foul because, Scott Foster is the new Joey Crawford for some reason. I don't know why, but he's turning into that. But
shout out to Connor in YouTube comments who just said, thanks for the tech, ref. It made DeRozan mad.
It is right. Boom. I'm talking about right on point, man. And as soon as that happened, you saw it kind of change. Because remember, he was kind of sluggish. And, it's weird, Matt. You're waiting for that game for him where he just kind of is mid. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just regular. He's some Reggie. You think he's just chilling. And I thought it was going to be this game. It just felt like it. The way the game was going, it felt like the Spurs were, just executing efficiently and just what was that quarter? I think it was the third quarter. After that point, they had 2 turnovers. And they were just executing incredibly. And like Stacey said, it took them 20 minutes to get them 2 turnovers. You know what I'm saying? Like it was insane how they were doing. Meanwhile, the Bulls had like almost 10 turnovers in the quarter. You know what I mean?
They had 9 third-quarter turnovers. Yeah.
And they were getting all their points. The Spurs getting all their points off of those turnovers. At one point, it was 18-5 at one point. I don't know what it ended up, but it was like 18-5 at one point. In the third quarter, this is all this was. They couldn't get the shots right. I mean, it just looked hopeless. And then DeMar said, oh, is that fourth quarter time? Oh, guys, hey, you're sitting on my cape. Hand me that, please. Let me put that on real quick. And let me go out here and do this. He's doing it without a three-pointer. I mean, we can't stress that enough here, Matt. He's doing it without a three-pointer. That is not what you do in today's game, according to what they tell me. That's not how you rolled in today's game.
Right.
Well, in his world, that's how we roll, and it's rolling us all the way to a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference, baby. Oh!
Yeah. Well, speaking of DeMar being in MVP kind of company, only one other player in the NBA this season has a 40-point game without hitting a 3. That's Joel Embiid, who did it once. DeMar has now done it thrice, 3 times, 3 40-point games without making a 3. This is his 7th.
Say it though. It's a center. You said a center,
right? Yeah,
no,
that's a big man.
Yeah, that's a center. All right, I just want that said. Well, go ahead.
So it's his 7th straight 30-point game. Not only that, it's his 6th straight game of 35 or more. And how about this stat that came across my Twitter timeline tonight from Mark J. Spears after the game? DeMar DeRozan has recorded his 6th straight game with 35 points or more on 50% shooting or better from the field. That ties Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain, speaking of big men, in 60, 61, and 63 for the longest such streak in NBA history. 35 points on 50% shooting in 6 straight games.
Did you hear what he just said? Like, and that's insanity.
What?
And Matt, let me look, because I saw the stats they showed for what he's averaging during this 6-game streak. 38 points, 61% from the field, 85% from the free throw line, along with 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. And he's doing it in 37 minutes. He's not even playing 40 minutes a game. He's doing it in 37 minutes. That is very key, because when you think about somebody doing all of that, Matthew, you thinking they're being on the court for like 40, maybe 42 minutes, just going at it. He's not, he's under 40 and he's doing this. 38, 61 from the field, and he's not a center. Guys, please enjoy this. Oh my God, this is insane. This is amazing to watch, man. And it's such a calm, and we're so expecting of it now, right? Like when he just goes up, I'm like, oh, that's going in. Everything looks good. It's like, yeah, that's going in. Yeah, he's gonna hit that. Yeah, he's gonna do that. Double team if you want to. Do all that stuff if you want to. You're not stopping him from putting the ball in the bucket. He's either gonna score or he's gonna go to the free throw line and he's gonna score there. He's amazing. Simply amazing. MVP stuff, Matt. It really is.
Not to mention an absolute facial on Jakob Poeltl tonight.
Oh,
my God.
Yes! And he dunking on cats.
DeMar
Yes.
got a body.
Yes, he did.
No, like seriously, we need to talk about DeMar DeRozan in the MVP conversation, and we will do that next. But speaking of MVP odds, Big Dave, today's episode brought to you by, you guessed it, BetOnline.net. Football might be over, and we're all going to cry about that for just a day or two, but then we're going to remember that basketball is in full steam for both pro and college hoops. This is our time, hoops junkies. Now, the time is now. From all the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline.net is the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season, and it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, UFC, right to the Olympics coverage and information. Bet on bobsledding if you want to. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline. It's where the game starts. Speaking of odds and fun things like that in the world of sports, I'm going to run down some quick MVP odds for you, Dave. Are you ready for it?
Come on with it, baby. Let's hit me.
Joel Embiid. These are as of February 11th. Joel Embiid leads the pack at plus 200 for NBA regular season MVP. Giannis plus 300. Nikola Jokic plus 375. Steph Curry plus 500. Ja Morant, ya boy, rounding out the top 5 at plus 1,000. Chris Paul in 6th, plus 2,500. Devin Booker, his teammate in the backcourt in Phoenix, also plus 2,500. Kevin Durant plus 4,000. And there, behind KD, is DeMar DeRozan at plus 4,500. Now, look, I'm not telling y'all to go out there and put money on DeMar DeRozan winning the regular season MVP for the NBA season. But what we do need to talk about is the fact that DeMar DeRozan is not in the top 5 of this list, and maybe and probably he should be, Dave.
Yeah, Matt, there's no doubt that he should be. When I'm looking at MVP performances, and guys, how I judge by MVP, of course, first thing I'll start with is the stats. That's the first thing I look at. And for me, my tiebreaker, Matt, it's always wins. It's always winning. Winning is always the tiebreaker for me. You factor in, how hard it was, to get those stats, you know what I mean? Who was on the team? What did he do in the big game? All the other stuff. But if it comes down to a tie, you look at the W's. Stat-wise, you look at what he's putting up, okay? It's absolutely insane. Matt just read you the stats. When you start being mentioned with Wilt the Stilt and you're mentioned with Michael Jeffrey Jordan, and by the way, when they told DeMar that, man, the smile on his face that came was just amazing. When they told him he was in company with Mike, he was like, oh, man, what? That's incredible. Yeah, it's incredible, DeMar. It is. But when you're mentioning those categories, you're amazing. Stat-wise, he's averaging like 28, 5, and 5. All right. I don't know what he's shooting, but I'm sure he's shooting something ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he's just that special. What you look at after that, in my opinion, Matt, is the fact that this is a top 3 seed in the East. And not just a top 3 seed. They've been there from the jump, from the beginning. Do you hear what I said to you? From the beginning, the Bulls have been floating around at the top of the East. It's just what it's been since the season started. And the main reason it's been like that is because of DeMar DeRozan. He is the reason that it's like that. He is just old reliable. Every time we need a bucket, it's DeMar. Every time we need, like, DeMar, we need a pick-me-up right here, I'm going to go dunk on somebody for you. Hey, DeMar, we ain't got no fire right now. I'm going to go ahead and get this technical foul for you. Hey, DeMar, we need to slow the game down and get some scoring. Let me get myself to the foul line. Hey, DeMar, we need to hit them with something they ain't expected. Let me go 3 or 4 from the three-point line real quick. Every time we needed something. Hey, DeMar, we need to get these other guys off. Coby needs the shots. Let me go grab 7, 8 assists. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you need? And he's doing it at the age of 32. He's older than everybody that is ahead of him. Except, I don't know if LeBron is in it, but I don't think he is because you just read all the names. But he's old. Oh, I'm sorry, Chris Paul. I don't want to forget Chris Paul because you said Chris Paul, and Chris Paul is ahead of him.
Did say Chris Paul.
But my goodness, man, the guys that you're mentioning, I'm like, dude, how is he not higher than Kevin Durant? Your team's won an 11-game winning streak. You're not playing. you got to be a little bit higher, all right? You got to be up there. I understand Ja. I understand Embiid. Jokic, I get, even though his team is losing, but the numbers he's putting up are astronomical, what he's doing, all right? So I get that. But, man, dude, what DeMar is doing, the respect he needs to get and he must garner from what he's doing from the league is paramount. He needs to get this respect, Matt, because he needs to be mentioned with the rest of these guys.
For the record, DeMar DeRozan shooting splits as of right now, 51.2, 33.7, and 86.2. I mean, like, yeah. Like, it's crazy that DeMar is, like 33.7 isn't quite exactly flirting with 50, 40, 90 territory,
right?
But it's a guy who everyone said, oh, this guy doesn't shoot threes. He doesn't shoot threes.
Right.
Look, like you said, it's hard to say, like, okay, well, who do you knock down and move DeMar up? Mm-hmm. Clearly, Embiid is, understandably a front runner right now. Yeah. I mean, whatever. Like, the Bulls are 2 games ahead of Philly in the Eastern Conference standings right now, and DeMar DeRozan, who has played 53 of 58 games, is the biggest reason why. And I don't want to get into a whole thing about how many games and tiers of missed games should affect MVP voting and things like that. But other than that brief Omicron that DeMar had, and then like a couple of second nights of back-to-backs off here or there, 53 of 58. And he's averaging that kind of minutes played. Mm-hmm. And the Bulls are a half game out of first. Like, I get it. Zach LaVine's presence in a way kind of makes me think of, like Chris Paul and Devin Booker, both being MVP candidates, both of whom have better odds right now than DeMar DeRozan. But, Zach LaVine is nowhere to be found on this list. And we kind of talked about that before when we were talking about all-star voting and the fact that DeMar's numbers and Zach's numbers aren't that far apart, but that DeMar is getting certainly got a lot more of the all-star votes. And he's the one we're talking right now for MVP. It's just, it's a very deep field. Mm-hmm. You got Giannis doing his thing in Milwaukee, who have rebounded strong after a slow start to the season. Mm-hmm. You mentioned Jokic. Man, every time that NBA Math Twitter account posts the latest TPA scores on that, bar graph, XY bar graph, and it's like a huge cluster of players, and then a few players like separating themselves from the pack, and in the very tippy top right corner of the graph is freaking the Joker. And I'm like, okay, I get it. This man is a basketball wizard who is blowing everyone out of the water, statistically speaking.
Yes, he is.
What about your boy Ja, though? I mean, it's hard to knock down him a peg, too, just based on what the Grizzlies have been able to accomplish in the West this season.
No, you're absolutely right, man. It's hard for me to knock Ja down, and I don't know if I can do it, just strictly because of what you said, what he's doing for that team in the West. How scary that team is to everybody right now. Like, they're terrifying to a lot of teams, man, because they're hungry. They honestly, for real, remind me of the Pistons, the bad boy Pistons. That's what they really remind me of, because they come in with an attitude. They come in with I don't like you, and they're physical, but they can execute you to death. And then they got their own Isaiah Thomas with Derrick Rose hops. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's terrifying. That's a terrifying combination. So, no, it'll be very hard for me to move Ja, but somebody's got to go. And somebody's got to move, man. Listen, I don't want to move Jokic, but when I look at the wins, Matt, I understand the numbers he's putting up. Mm-hmm. But when I look at them W's and I see that you a 6th seed, I'm sorry, man. I might have to drop you. I know that sounds crazy. I know that's insane, but sacrifices need to be made in order to get DeMar DeRozan up a little bit. And that's the sacrifice I'm going with. The dude who won already, the guy who already got his MVP, I think he can be moved down just a tad so DeMar can move right on up, because his team, he's killing. The numbers are stupid. He's almost averaging a triple-double as a center. We get that. But DeMar DeRozan is doing this for a top 3 team all year long. at the age of 32 and is being compared with numbers with Wilt and Michael Jeffrey Jordan. I mean, somebody's got to move, and it's going to be him.
I think you could also maybe I know that the Warriors are second in the West and have 42 wins right now, but Steph is an MVP candidate. He's currently fourth odds wise.
He can go.
And now that he's getting some of his pieces back,
yeah, those numbers are expected to drop. Yeah,
I mean, the fact that the Bulls are 37-21 right now, and that, as I mentioned, DeMar DeRozan has played 53 of 58 games.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about all of the other games missed from his teammates, Zach LaVine, Lonzo, Caruso, Derrick Jones Jr., Javonte Green, not to mention Patrick Williams out after the first 4 games and and 4.5 games.
Mm-hmm.
He has been carrying this team all season long, despite the Bulls being as short-handed as they are, and has them a half game out of the 1 seed.
You're absolutely right.
It is always. Maybe it's not correct to say that the MVP race is always this packed.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you just look at what DeMar does, and again, it's about fourth quarter. It's about crunch time. Now, there's somewhere where Chris Paul and Devin Booker might have an argument in their favor because Devin Booker and Chris Paul both have ridiculous crunch time numbers this season.
Sure.
Wildly efficient shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And the Suns are a good crunch time team. DeMar DeRozan, we know what he's doing, producing with the scoring and the playmaking in the fourth quarters, especially in close games. The Bulls, with this win over the Spurs on Monday night, moved to 19-11 in crunch time this season. There are a couple of buzzer beaters that I recall in there somewhere that came from one DeMar DeRozan as crunch time victories.
Back to back.
But, man, it's crazy to just sit here and say, DeMar, there's no way he can't be a top 5 MVP guy this season. And then you look at the top 5 and you're like,
yeah.
Ooh.
I think I'm changing that because you're right. I'm going to leave Joker where he is because the numbers are stupid, but Steph has got to drop. Steph has got to go, and I'm moving DeMar up into that right there. That's what I'm doing right there. So, yeah, I'm rolling with that. But, Steph can go. Steph can drop down because DeMar, what he's doing, guys. And Matt, and what adds to this, the worst free agent signing of the season. That's the important thing here. Nobody was betting on it. Nobody was expecting it. Nobody had him at any odds to do any damn thing but just come in and be average. And so the fact he's doing all of this, for me, that boosts him up right there too.
Speaking of those slamming the DeMar DeRozan trade, if you don't remember, a shout out to our pal Jason Patt of Cash Considerations, along with Ricky O'Donnell, had a couple of screen grabs from John Hollinger in my Twitter feed that I saw tonight. Hollinger predicted the Bulls to finish 11th.
Yeah.
37-45 was his prediction of a record for the Bulls this regular season, and largely blamed that on not liking the DeMar signing. Bulls just got their 37th win tonight. So, John Hollinger, you are almost out of breathing room in that 37-45 prediction you got there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I don't think the Bulls are going to finish the season 0-24. I mean, knock on wood, but it might surprise me. All right, we still want to talk about a couple other elements of this game that happened tonight. Before we do that, though, Big Dave, hit the people with the Built Bar.
Oh, I just talked up a storm. So now I'm hungry. So now I want something to eat. But I'm looking amazing. So I don't want to put none of that sugar and stuff in me like that. I want to keep it right. What do? You go with Built Bars. Why? Because it's 130 calories, 4 grams of that sugar, 4 of them net carbs, and 17 grams of that protein, baby. So that's low calorie and that's high protein. You can replace all them candy bars and you go ahead and get you that Built Bar. And guess what? So many flavors. Mint brownie, coconut almond, raspberry, and they're all covered in 100% real chocolate. Matt Peck, can you please tell the people the flavor of the month, my friend?
It's a simple one, but you can't go wrong, baby, with that delicious strawberry.
Oh, you know you love strawberry. You know it. Why don't you go in and get you some? Head to built.com. And since you're going over there, take this promo code with you. Lock15. That's going to get you 15% off your order. Use the promo code Lock15 for 15% off at built.com. Built Bar. Eat it because it's good for you.
Oh, my goodness. We got somebody in our comments saying, well, yeah, DeMar doesn't play very good defense, though. How about you read the room, sir? How about you read the room?
Oh, come on, man. Have some fun. Enjoy this. This is amazing, dude.
And you know what? Like, honestly, that was low key. I think, Dave, one of the things that helped seal the win for the Bulls against the Spurs tonight. Yes, DeMar was outrageous, lights out in the fourth quarter, but they really clamped down defensively in that final 6 minutes or so of the fourth quarter. The Spurs were beating the Bulls once again, and feel like a broken record. Point of attack defense was bad for large stretches of the night. DeJounte Murray was getting wherever he wanted on the floor. The Spurs were, just beating the Bulls up and down. But crunch time came, and the Bulls, as a defensive unit, upped the pressure. They made sure to swarm the boards and limit the Spurs' second chance scoring opportunities. So, yeah, this win is a lot on the shoulders of DeMar DeRozan, but some credit to the Bulls' defense for showing up when it counted.
Absolutely, Matt. The block at the end by Vooch was colossal. That was a huge block.
Trade him.
Trade him out of here.
Trade him.
Can't play defense. That's not what it do. We don't play no defense. We gotta do it better than that. Yeah, 25, 16, and 5, by the way. Let me just toss that out at you real quick. Even though he went 1 of 7 from the three-point line. Yeah, 25, 16, and 5th. That's insane. All right, he's your center, for God's sakes. He shouldn't be doing that, but he is, because he's really, 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 really good. And he was using his size. That's all you can really ask for a guy who is not a defensive stopper, is to use your size to deter some of those shots. Because it wasn't working early on, because DeJounte Murray and Lonnie Walker were going off. You know what I'm saying? Them dudes were balling out.
I almost called the police on that Lonnie Walker dunk. Oh, my God.
Good God, he cocked it back, man. You was like, good gracious. It was mean, man. They were balling out. But when they needed it in that fourth quarter, when they went on that 31-19 run in the fourth quarter, they went ahead and put that clamp on them. And it was one and done for a lot of those things. And they were, Matt, it was the way they were switching. I missed that. You know what I'm saying? Remember how we used to just marvel at that when they would play defense, just how quickly they would switch, no matter where the ball was swung. The switching on that team, it was amazing. And they did it so well tonight, to the point, I remember one play where they did it, and the man tried to go inside and tried to kick it back out, and he threw it right to Ayo, who was just standing at the top of the key like, oh, thanks. Yeah. I appreciate that. Good looking out.
That was a big part of that Bulls run that put the game away, because I'm pretty sure that Ayo steal is what led to that transition where Ayo got the ball out, kicked it to DeMar on the right side coming in, and then DeMar hit Vooch the trailer for the lay-in. I think that was how that play resulted, if I remember correctly.
No, you're exactly right. And that's how, and again, like you said, he hit it to Vooch, who was trailing at the end, because, your big man was getting down the floor. That's what he was doing. He was in the paint and finishing the play. That's what your center's supposed to do. Oh, my God. It was amazing to watch that in the fourth quarter, because we hadn't seen it in so long. So it was just good to see that defense. And the guard play of the defense at the defensive end was really, really good. Shout out to Troy Brown Jr., who was really solid today. And I credit Billy Donovan, because Billy Donovan does a great job of instilling that confidence in his guys. And he left him in there in that game, Matt, even though he was old for forever and only had those rebounds. That's what he was doing. But getting that rebound at the end of the game carried over into this game. And knowing that his coach had that confidence in him, he still came out like that game didn't happen. He came out with that confidence, still shooting the ball, and he started passing the ball a little bit. He still don't know how to get it inside the boots. He still hasn't unlocked that Da Vinci code yet. So we're still working on that. But he did look better. And I like the way that he played defensively also. He found his niche. He said, I can get these rebounds for the team and start these outlets. And we saw him doing that a little more tonight.
Speaking of that Bulls bench, they were outscored 40-12 tonight by the Spurs reserves. Partly because, Lonnie Walker had himself a night with 21 off the bench. Partly because Coby White moved to the starting lineup because Zach LaVine is out right now. Speaking of which, Big Dave, I know I saw that tweet of yours after the game. I think it was after the game about how some Bulls fans maybe owe Coby an apology because they were really quick to be wanting his self traded out of town before that deadline. But vital minutes and contribution from Coby White right now.
I don't know, man. He's can't do it. He's gotta go. He can't shoot. He's too streaky. He's gotta come off the bench. We can't keep him. Shutty. Watch what that man did. When we started all this at the beginning of the season, all we kept preaching was patience. That's all we said. All we kept preaching was patience. We'll just give him time. Just give him time. Just give him time. We said, give him a month. We'll see what it looks like in a month. We saw after that month, he started looking pretty good. We was like, okay, the month he's looking solid. Then we saw him go into what we used to see him do, Matt, which was kind of go into a slump, which is what we see shooters really kind of do. Go into a nice little slump. Couldn't find his shot. You know what I'm saying? Didn't have that confidence, it didn't look like, that he was playing with. But he still kept playing because his defense was solid. So that's what kept him in the game. And again, credit Billy Donovan for keeping that confidence in him. So he stayed in there. Once the trade deadline passed, that confidence in Coby White definitely kicked right on up into overdrive because he was like, y'all ain't getting rid of it. Give me the basketball. The shot is just water. It looks so good. Over the past 5 games, Coby White from the three-point line is shooting 20 of 37.
I'm no math whiz, but I believe that's just above 50%.
Yes, that's insane. And did you see him in the first quarter? He was on fire. He was carrying them in the first quarter, Matt. Like that, you knew it. You know things are going right for you when you shoot it, the three, and it bounces high up in the air, kisses off the backboard, bounces back down, and goes in. The next three he took on the next possession was all net. I was like, yup, he's feeling good, man. And in the fourth quarter, we talk about DeMar in the fourth quarter, Coby in the fourth quarter too, man.
Big.
Has just been huge. That is something he has done since he's been here. Has been huge in the fourth quarter with his shots. It just looks so much more calmer now because now he isn't, you know what I mean? He would get all riled up like that when he would score. Now he's expected to do this. This is what I do. I'm Coby freaking White. This is how I roll right here. Couple of y'all that do an apology because y'all were very disrespectful to that young man, dog. Very disrespectful. I'm just saying, just be just as loud in your respect as you were in your disrespect. It's all I'm saying. You owe that man a little bit of an apology, some of y'all.
Look, not only did Coby keep that three-point shooting hot tonight, 5 of 6 from downtown as part of his 24 points, but tonight 6 dimes, 1 turnover. And look, Big Dave, we talked about this recently, and I think it was after they played the Suns, and we saw him kind of reacquainting with his old pal and mentor Chris Paul, that you can tell a noticeable difference and improvement in the way that Coby handles his point guard minutes this season compared to his previous 2 NBA seasons. And that young Coby used to just be like, okay, foot slammed down on the gas pedal, go. And it works or it doesn't, but that's what I'm doing. And now he's finding these nuanced ways to just sort of probe more gently and delicately and slowly probe the defense, wait to see what they show him, and then take what they give him. And it was a key bucket late in the game. You mentioned, not only DeMar's fourth quarter play, but Coby's. That one drive and dish for that Vooch dunk in that critical possession late in the fourth quarter. That is a level of point guard Coby that is new this season. And it showed up in a big moment of a game that the Bulls needed to win.
That is a great point, Matt, because that was a huge moment because DeMar had went off the floor. and they had to get some. And as soon as he left, I said, "Where the hell are they going to get scoring from?" And they had to find a way, and they went with the guy who is going to be the second best scorer out there for them. And it's not going to booch. I'm telling you, it's Coby in the fourth quarter. He's your second best scorer in the fourth quarter, man. So the fact that he's also turned into that point guard, like you said, Matt, the calmness that he plays under now, the controlled chaos that he plays with, because he's still explosive. Like you saw him try to put Jakob Poeltl into the rim. You saw it. He tried to put him in there. He's still explosive, all right? But like you said, so accurately and eloquently, he is controlled in what he is doing. It slows down. I watched him this game, Matt, when he got a ball, went right down the middle of the floor, and it was like 1-on-4, and he immediately pulled up. Stop. Win Brown said, "We're running the play." Let everybody know where they needed to be, and they ran the play. That's not what he did, but that's called growth, ladies and gentlemen. He's not going to stay the same. That's what bad players do. They stay the same. They continue to do the same things, and they don't get better. Coby White has shown us nothing but the fact that he wants to be better. And so he's going to continue to grow, and that's going to do nothing but make this team nasty when it comes to the playoffs, all right? Because when everybody gets back, that bench scoring that we only had 12 points on, that's going to change. You put Coby White back there, man. Excellent game. He's been excellent these past 5 games, Matt.
They have needed him to be. DeMar doing his thing, but Zach being in and out, Bulls being shorthanded as they are. Big Dave and I told you guys, this team will need Coby White. And he's showing up for him big in this recent stretch of games, which is great. The Bulls will try to make it 5 straight wins to enter the All-Star break when they take on the Kings on Wednesday. Until then, if you got anything Bulls related on your mind, hit us up on that text to voicemail line 331-979-1369 or on Twitter. I'm at Bulls_Peck. Dave is at BAWL Sports. We are at Locked On Bulls. See Red Nation.
Yeah.
Tell your neighbor about DeMar DeRozan. Just the next time you see your neighbor, could you just say to your neighbor, "Hey, how about that DeMar DeRozan character over there doing things at the madhouse right now?" Woo! It's fun to watch.
It is. It is.
Big Dave, I'm Matt. We love you, Bulls Nation. See Red. Be good. Peace.